Right now on KGW, a rash of local layoffs from ODOT, PGE, and one of the region's largest employers, Intel. We'll take a closer look at the positions getting cut, plus the latest on the continued search for survivors in Texas.
Just in the Kerr County area alone, there are 161 people who are known to be missing.
How the search continues today, 5 days after severe flooding washed through the region. Then
the guy kept moving, so the officer shot him like 3 times.
A community in Yamhill County is shaken after a sheriff's deputy shot and killed a stabbing suspect. Then later,
I think it's silly. I think it's really silly.
The TSA is dropping its shoes off policy during screenings. We're hearing from travelers on what they think about the change. KGW News at noon starts right now. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm China Green. We begin with breaking news. A judge just sentenced former Portland Trailblazer Ben McLemore to more than 8 years in prison after his rape conviction last week. McLemore didn't speak during his sentencing hearing today, but the victim testified for roughly 5 minutes. Last week, a Clackamas County jury found McLemore guilty of rape. This case stems from an assault that occurred at a Lake Oswego house party in 2021. During trial, the woman testified that she was incapacitated after a night of heavy drinking and unable to consent. McLemore admitted that he had been drinking, but testified that the sex was consensual. Our Kyla Boshi was in court for the sentencing. We'll have a full reaction and report coming up on the news at 4. In the meantime, Intel laying off more than 500 workers at 4 Oregon campuses starting next Tuesday. That's according to a notice filed with the state yesterday. The biggest cut is at Intel's Jones Farm campus in Hillsboro, where 450 workers will lose their jobs. The positions cut include engineers, architects, and managers. This comes after the company announced plans to lay off between 15 to 20% of its worldwide workforce. And Portland General Electric confirms that it's already laid off 53 full-time employees. In a statement, a PGE spokesperson said the layoffs are part of the company's, quote, ongoing work to keep bills as low as possible. The statement also pointed to the cost pressures from increased electricity demand, while PGE is also transitioning to cleaner energy. And we're also hearing from one of the 500 ODOT employees being laid off in just a few weeks. ODOT is facing the largest single layoff in Oregon state government history after lawmakers failed to come up with a major funding plan this past session. Workers got notices on Monday saying they'll lose their jobs at the end of the month. And up to 200 more people could be laid off early next year. We spoke with a woman losing her part-time job along with much of the crew in Wheeler County.
I'm okay. I'm going to be fine, and I know the guys will be fine. It's just, it's a shock. It's one big shock.
Governor Tina Kotek is calling the cuts, which could impact everything from road maintenance to snow removal, an emergency, but so far has not called a special session. In Gresham, fire investigators are looking into 2 fires they believe were intentionally set. So the first sparked around 5 o'clock yesterday morning at the East Portland Moose Lodge. Crews got that fire out pretty quickly, found 2 broken windows there. But 4 hours later, another fire was reported at a church nearby. Windows also broken there. Investigators say they believe the cases are related and are asking anyone with information to call Gresham Fire. All right, so small earthquakes have been rattling Mount Rainier. The U.S. Geological Survey says the activity started around 1:30 yesterday morning and continues today. It started with several quakes per minute, with the largest yesterday registered at 1.7 magnitude. Officials say there's no indication this activity is cause for concern and the alert level is normal. Typically, there are about 9 earthquakes per month on Mount Rainier, and smaller swarms happen about once or twice a year. Today's update from Texas is not promising. More than 170 people still reported missing all across the state's flood zone. Jay Gray has been on the ground there for days and has the latest.
Well, look, it's day 6 of the search, the rescue and recovery effort here. They're adding more assets. 4 Black Hawk helicopters now in the mix, along with more drones, high-profile military vehicles to get into some of the hardest hit areas. We now know, according to the governor of the state, Greg Abbott, that those teams that are searching through areas like this one along the Guadalupe here are looking for more than 170 people still unaccounted for those family members who are in limbo right now, waiting to understand what's going on. They spend their days going to funeral homes here, to hospitals which are serving as makeshift morgues, trying to find any information they can. The governor talked about those families.
There's nothing more important on our hearts and minds than the people of this community, especially those who are still lost. Know this: we will not stop until every missing person is accounted for. Know this also: there very likely could be more added to that list.
And clearly, that's a process that's going to take some time, just with the sheer numbers of how many are still missing here. Another difficult process, the cleanup and recovery, which is just beginning. And really a lot of help coming in that regard from volunteers, hundreds, not only from across the state, but around the country, just drawn here to help so many families who are struggling right now. That's the latest from here in Kerrville. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Rod Hill with a look at forecast yesterday. It really stuck with me the way you described that within, I think 45 minutes, it went from knee deep water to about 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's just, it's so hard to comprehend how quick that happened.
45 minutes. And to me, the missing key of the reporting so far, and I've been trying to find the data, surfing online through different weather service and river forecast center outlets, and I can't find it. What I would like to find is what was the river level projection July 3rd going into that night. There was convection, there was thunderstorms in the area. They knew they were getting rain. The initial forecast called for 4 to 8 inches. We know they got 7 inches near Kerrville, Texas. That came down, I think it was a matter of an hour or two. But it would be interesting just to know, what did the modeling say that river rise would be? There has been deadly flooding in that area. More and more reports coming out over the years with similar river levels, but that doesn't mean it was as sudden as what this was. So anyway, still a lot more information to learn. Here at home, we are nice and quiet. We do have thunderstorms expected later this afternoon in parts of south and southeastern Oregon, but you can see on the radar satellite picture, nothing right now. What we are seeing is some traceable amounts of rain up mainly in western Washington, maybe near Long Beach or Astoria. I thought we'd be overcast by now in Portland, and clearly we are not. Now, if you're watching from Astoria, it's been cloudy all day. If you're watching from Kelso, it's been cloudy all day. Tillamook is overcast. This march of cloudiness now starting to overtake much of Clark County, and it should eventually overtake Portland, but we're being treated still at the noon hour to some decent sunshine. Let me back up for a second. I clicked through a map I didn't mean to. Coming up in my complete forecast, we'll talk more about these 2 areas of high fire danger today, why the warnings are up and what to expect. But in the meantime, it's about the sunshine from the Chehalem Tasting Room in Sherwood, the increasing clouds in downtown Portland, a comfortable temperature of 72 and a high that will hold in the 70s this afternoon. Much more in your complete forecast coming up.
Thank you, Ron. In Yamhill County, witnesses say they saw a sheriff's deputy shoot and kill a stabbing suspect who authorities say stabbed 2 people at an RV park on Monday. KGW's Libby Dowsett brings us more on the story from the Valley's Edge RV Park in Sheridan.
For a lot of us elderly people around here, it was scary. We heard the shots, but we didn't know where it came from. At first, we thought they were fireworks.
Neighbors at Valley's Edge RV Park say it was chaos.
A guy without a shirt on was running this way, chasing these other people.
Police say an altercation between a man and some neighbors started the chain of events. Peggy Hughes heard the altercation and saw the man running across the park right toward her 2 roommates sitting outside their RV. What'd you see out the kitchen window?
A bald guy doing this. That's much I can say. Except it hurt to see them like that.
Minutes later, witnesses say a Yamhill County Sheriff's deputy arrived. 10-year-old Daniel, who spoke to us with his family, says he witnessed the deputy shoot the man who stabbed the couple.
The cop got out of his car and put out his gun and said, "Don't move," but the guy kept moving, so the officer shot him like 3 times.
Everybody's pretty worried. I mean, everybody I talked to last night, especially the people here, I mean, they have two toddlers and a 2-month-old.
I saw the 2 victims being taken to the ambulance, and they didn't rush, so I assumed they were stable.
And even some concern for the man shot by the deputy.
I couldn't sleep because of it. And I went over there and I said a prayer for him.
John Birchfeld says he didn't know those involved, but it's affected him just the same.
You know, when you live in a place like this where it's transient, you don't make it a habit to make friends with your neighbors.
Newburgh-Dundee police and the major crimes team from Yamhill County are still investigating the details of this case. They hope to review video and get more information released in the near future. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
In Washington County, a man who was recently convicted of killing his estranged wife nearly 40 years ago has been sentenced to life in prison. 71-year-old Robert Atrops will be eligible for parole after 25 years. Back in 1988, the body of Debbie Atrops was found in the trunk of an abandoned car at a remote Beaverton construction site. DNA evidence helped investigators in the cold case unit link Robert to the murder. During the trial this past spring, the state noted Robert showed no emotion. However, that changed yesterday when his daughter addressed the court prior to his sentencing.
When I was 8 months old, someone robbed me of getting to have a life with my mom, there to support my every milestone. My first birthday, kindergarten graduation, 8th grade promotion, high school graduation, my wedding.
Now, while she spoke about the pain of losing her mother, she testified in support of her father and asked the judge for a lighter sentence. Atrops' attorney says that they plan to appeal the verdict. We're hearing from the man who was stabbed during a random daytime attack last month in the Montavilla neighborhood of southeast Portland. He spoke yesterday in court during the suspect's arraignment. Surveillance video shows the attack back on June 26. That's when investigators say 24-year-old Michael Cash stabbed Russell Archer near Southeast 91st and Stark.
He stabbed me, and there was no robbing, no altercation, no communication. I've never seen this man before in my life. He ran up behind me and stabbed me and said, "Don't tell anyone."
Cash pleaded not guilty to charges that include assault. He will remain in jail, at least for now.